Okay, we're going to try not to have any phone gymnastics this time. No promises, because this phone is balanced on my steering wheel. So I promised you I'd read something, and I'm going to do that. This story is called Skin Changers, and it takes place in a story world that I've used twice. The first time was Way of the Gun, which is an anthology that I put out after having crowdfunded it a couple of years ago. And it is basically sort of a steampunk western and what would happen if gunslingers had the same code as the samurai in feudal Japan, or a similar code anyway. And out of that, I wrote a short story for an anthology honoring P.G. Holyfield. For that story, I created a character modeled after my editor, who kicks much ass, Sue Bayman. So the main character in that short story and in this short story is a marshal in a western town that is, I suppose, owes as much to Roland Deschain's universe, Stephen King, gunslinger, as it does to The Rifleman, as it does to Seven Samurai. So, with that having been said, here is a little bit of Skin Changers. Brady's Bar was a ghost town. In truth, most of the town itself looked deserted. The heat wave was on its 30th day. After 30 days, without a drop of rain and brain-boiling temperatures, most people headed to the mountains or other cooler climes if they could. Farmers gave up on their crops. The few who stayed laid low. As the law in this frontier town, Sue Bayman didn't have a choice. She'd set an oath to the Way of the Gun and taken on the mantle of the martial order 20 years ago. Here's an aside. Martial is spelled M-A-R-T-I-A-L, as in martial arts. And so marshals in this universe are spelled differently, but serve more or less the same purpose. The life had kept her and others safe. It meant she had no family, which was her choice. Few marshals did, and those who were lucky enough weren't lucky long. Spouses and kids usually headed back east quickly. Brady came out from the kitchen, long since closed for business. Its dark confines had to be cooler than anywhere else in the building. "Evening, Sue." She took off her hat, sweat-matted hair clinging to her skull. "Morning, Brady." Excuse me. "Evening, Brady." He pulled a bottle from behind the bar and poured her a shot of the cloudy, cinnamon-infused hooch he was famous for. "What has you out in this God-forsaken weather?" The shot disappeared down her throat and made her shiver. It burned and cooled her at the same time. "Neither rain nor hail nor brain-boiling heat will make me stray from my rounds," she said. She smiled briefly. "Or something like that. I heard a rumor there might be some trouble headed our way. It came over the wireless. People left their homes all over the territory. Some thieves think it might make our towns easy pickings." Hands moved like heat lightning. She pulled her 6 guns, made them spin and dance, and dropped them back in oiled leather holsters. If they come our way, they'll find out different. "Need any help?" The big, burly, and bald man grinned. "Ain't like I got much else to do." They had a history, her and Brady. It was short and memorable. His smile made her warm in an entirely different way. "I could always use your help. Unfortunately, they were as bad for each other as they were good to each other. This time, just an extra set of keys. This time, just an extra set of eyes. If you want to go to the top of your bar and keep an eye out, that would be good. How will I be able to see them coming? Brady's smile became a look of genuine interest. Remember the ranger who came to town last year? He helped me with some strangers who were... Brady held up a hand. Like I could forget him or what he did. Well, he sent me a box a month or so back. Among other things, it had a couple of goggles which could help us see in the dark. I could loan you a pair. She emphasized loan. She had no idea how much they cost, and she hadn't told the judge or anyone else about them. They might put pressure on her to give them to another marshal who had curried favor with the powers that be. She wasn't well liked by anyone who held power in these parts. How about that? Ain't it grand having friends? I got my rifle all cleaned and ready to go. You bring those fancy goggles, and I'll be your watchtower. He poured more hooch for each of them. To success. They drank. It was well past sunrise when Sue found herself on horseback wearing the bulky goggles. The moon was new, and there were stars, but they seemed as far away as hope. She couldn't see much out of the sides of her eyes, but the area in front of her was plain enough for a few dozen yards. Her horse Bella, a roan beast she'd traded with the natives for, was on the small side, as most of their ponies were. She could go without water a lot longer than most of the big stallions, longer without sleep, too. Sure-footed as they came, she didn't have to worry about a misstep. This was her third circuit around their little burg. Brady was up on the top of his bar, the tallest structure in town, since it also had 2 floors of rooms. He would signal her with a loud whistle if he saw anything. Intruders might hear it, but it was far more subtle than a shot or a bell. If she didn't see anything after the 5th lap, she'd go back in and allow herself a break. It wasn't meant to be, since she heard the long, low whistle of Brady's signal. The damp hair at the base of her skull tried to stand up. She drew her right pistol, though she didn't have a target. The hammer eased back, and she scanned her side of town. There was nothing she could see. Then she remembered one long whistle meant the north side, near the dried-up riverbed. So, what does she find? Only way you get to read that and find out is if you become a patron. If you're already a patron, then by all means, go and read this story. I think you'll enjoy it. I wanted to give a shout out before I tied up this last little bit of business. My newest patrons, one of my newest patrons, I guess I should say, is, who shall I pick? I'm going to go with Wolf Rourke, because Wolf has long been a big supporter of mine and a great friend and a North Carolinian, which makes him amazing. So Wolf, thank you for your support, and that's it for this little video. We'll see you next time.